Hello everyone, my name is Trish Connor Cato. Welcome to the WordPress video course. This course is for anyone new to WordPress or who is self-taught on the product. Each category would make a good candidate for this course. No prior WordPress knowledge is needed. No prior web development or programming skills are required. This course is designed for non-technical users who are more interested in content management and search engine optimization than the technical aspects of website creation. The first module will spend some time introducing you to WordPress by understanding the common terms used and why you should choose WordPress. You'll learn about the WordPress family and about WordPress features. You'll also learn how to tap into online WordPress resources for further learning and how to stay updated with WordPress news. We'll also cover how to access the WordPress Codex, which is its official online manual for the software. We'll end the first module by learning how to get support from other users and how to use theme and plugin directories. We'll get started in WordPress in Module 2 by getting and installing WordPress and move on to exploring the difference between WordPress.com and WordPress.org. We'll then learn how to navigate the dashboard panel, also known as WP-admin panel, and how to get a Gravatar before building a website. In the third module, you'll learn about WordPress admin conventions and posting on your blog. We'll cover discussion on your blog and how to add and manage categories in this module. You should know that I do have files in the video description that we will be using during this course, so you may want to pause the video, download those files, and put them in the same folder somewhere on your computer for easy access. So in this module, you will be introduced to WordPress via several lessons. The first of which is understanding the common terms that are used in the software. We'll then discuss why you should consider choosing WordPress and move on to getting to know the WordPress family. We'll continue by reviewing the rich feature set in WordPress before you'll learn how to access online WordPress resources for further learning. You'll also learn how to stay updated with WordPress news, and then we'll move on to understanding the Codex and how to get support from other users. And then I'll show you how you would be using theme and plugin directories in the software. And we'll be hands-on in the software starting in Module 2. So the first thing we're going to tackle is understanding the common terms used while you'll be working with WordPress. One of the major challenges of working with a new software is learning what things are called. If you have to ask a question about something, it would be helpful if you could reference it by its correct terms. So I've included this slide with a link to a Word document that's in the same directory. And so again, you'll have this for your future reference, but I'm going to go ahead and bring up the document. There are a few developer terms in here as well, and I'm not going to go over all of these definitions with you. I'll point out the things that I think are most pertinent right here. And that would be, the first one would be core, and that references WordPress's default features and functionality without any user customization. So WordPress out of the box is generally referenced as its core. The dashboard is also known as WP/admin. It's the place you would go to when managing your site. And you'll see when we get in that along the top, you'll have a toolbar of quick options, and you'll have a sidebar on the left that contains the different panels relating to your site's functionality. Domain name is important in this list. That's the address of your website on the internet. And you'll have to have a domain in order to get into WordPress. Depending on your hosting site, you can get a free domain for like a year. Hosting is the next one I'll cover. It's where your website is stored. So it's a high-powered server stored in a safe location. Pages and posts. They both let you display content on your site. Pages are more permanent, and I just noticed the typo there, so I will fix that. And posts are transient. Pages don't change very much and are considered static. In contrast, posts, also known as articles, blogs, blog posts, are dated and archived for future reading, but are designed to be replaced with similar yet fresher content on a regular basis. Permalinks, you'll hear them referred to as slugs. Those are the readable URL you'll navigate to on the web. WordPress lets you choose a number of different formats for permalinks, although it defaults to the post or page title. It's readable and is simple to remember for a visitor. Then we have plugins. Plugins handle the functionality of your site. So, for example, there's a plugin called Really Simple SSL, which helps you transition to more secure site connections. And there's one called WordFence, and that's a top-notch security plugin. So the core, WordPress out of the box, does not really have much functionality. You add functionality to your site via plugins. SEO, you'll hear this term a lot, stands for Search Engine Optimization. And it's the process of improving your website to increase visibility in Google, Microsoft Bing, and other search engines whenever people search for products you sell, services you provide, or information on topics in which you have deep expertise and or experience. The better visibility your pages have in search results, the more likely you are to be found and clicked on. Ultimately, the goal of SEO is to help attract website visitors who will become customers, clients, or an audience that keeps coming back. So if you're watching this video, it's because you're either already using WordPress or you're interested in using WordPress. So let's discuss the reasons why people choose to use WordPress. It is free, and it can be used to create any type of website. The software itself is free, but you do need a domain name and web hosting to install it. It is easy to use. It is completely customizable, and out of the box, it is SEO friendly. There are plugins that can help with that as well. It is safe and secure, and it is here to stay. And that's because it's open source software, which means it's not maintained by one person or company. So it's open source, it's not going anywhere. It's really used widely across a multitude of audiences. When you hear about the WordPress family, it's referring to 3 different components of WordPress. So the family role, head of household, is occupied by the WordPress core, WordPress out of the box. The core of functionality has remained relatively unchanged, with the exception of a new editor. There is one part that is continuously being updated on the core, and that is security. The spouse role in a family is occupied by the theme you use in WordPress. Like any relationship, compatibility is a large factor in the success of the union. A theme controls the visual elements of your site, what layout you can use, and core parts of how your site can function as well. So the theme is the spouse. And then you have the children of the family. So I mentioned earlier that the WordPress core by itself does not have much functionality. A massive number of plugins can cover almost any functionality you are looking for. Plugins, therefore, are like the children. They need to be watched to make sure they don't misbehave, and they don't always play well with one another. I guess the same could be said outside of the child age years. So the head of the household is the WordPress core. The spouse would be your theme, which controls the visual elements of your site, and the children would be the plugins. So let's get into some of the features in WordPress. I have a few slides just on the features here. So you have exchangeable designs using themes, the spouse. You can extend functionality through plugins, the children. You have access to unlimited posts and pages, categories and subcategories, and tags. Responsive design, so it will work and read well and be accessible easily from mobile devices. It is very flexible. It supports multiple types of websites, from blogs to e-commerce. It's scalable, which means it can handle any size of website. And it gives you the ability to post on your site via email and mobile devices. It's also in compliance with W3C standards, depending on the theme you're using. You can import data from other blogs, and it's easy to administer and blog without any experience. In addition, WordPress has a convenient, fully functional built-in search feature. It is multilingual with good internationalization, provides secure code. You have the ability to password protect content. You have comments manager and spam protection built in. What's really nice and lends to its ease of use is its built-in workflow, where it's simple. You write, you draft, review, and publish. You have intelligent text and content editing via a visual editor, multi-user and multi-author support for user accounts, and a feature-rich media library for managing photos and other non-text content. It also has social media integration capabilities. As a matter of fact, later on in Module 5, in my must-have pack of plugins, there's one that can kind of fill that social media need for you. WordPress also provides you with dynamic and scalable revision functionality. So if you have to roll back changes, it's relatively easy to do in WordPress. You have built-in embed functionality through shortcodes, so it's compatible with YouTube, Vimeo, so on and so forth. Your admin panel is accessible via all modern devices, operating systems, and browsers. It has full accessibility for front-end elements of the website, which is what your visitors see. User-friendly image editing, plus it has a drag and drop image importing feature. There's advanced SEO features available through plugins and themes. And it also has an integrated REST API infrastructure. So that's an interface that two computer systems use to exchange information securely over the internet. Very rich feature set at the core, but then also through plugins and themes, you can get more features and functionality. So at this point, we're going to go to different websites in reference to lessons 5 through 8. So I have a Word document named Useful Links in the files from the video descriptions, and it would be helpful if you open that document. Or if you've already opened a slideshow, you can just click like it is on my screen to view that Useful Links document. Either way, we want to go ahead and access it. So in Module 2, in the first lesson, we'll learn about the two different worlds of WordPress, which is the difference between WordPress.com and WordPress.org. But each of those entities has online WordPress resources, and they're listed there, learning more with online WordPress resources for Module 1, Lesson 5. The first one is a link to WordPress.org, and I'm going to go ahead and control click to follow that link. This learn.wordpress.org site, it gives you the ability, if you look, you can see you can learn WordPress, right? Whether you're seasoned or first timer, there's resources from community members all over the world that you will learn about on this site. You can search for a learning resource, and as you scroll down, you can browse tutorials, you can access lesson plans, there's recent courses, and you have the ability to view all courses, right? And they range the gamut over everything. And then you can view all tutorials that are out here on the site as well. There are also always online workshops that are going on, so you have the ability to view all of them and join the ones that are of interest. And then if you want to get involved in creating the content for learning WordPress, you can learn how to contribute. And so it runs the gamut. It's an excellent resource for you to have at your fingertips. You might want to save this page to your favorites if you're going to be using it to extend your learning. By the way, you can also get news here. You can download themes, plugins, all kinds of things here. Under the Learn tab, we're on Learn WordPress, but you have documentation, there's forums, there's WordPress TV, and then you have a community there as well. So that is one of the sites. And the second one that we're going to look at is from WordPress.com. And so I'm back to my useful links document, and I'm going to access that second link. So this is another site where you can experience more learning about WordPress, right? This one is the WordPress.com Learn site. So it has over here getting the most from WordPress. And as you scroll down, you could you could get help, right? You can attend webinars, courses, and then you have a community where people share their knowledge on building websites. You can go by WordPress.com, browse those articles. And there is also a YouTube channel. And then down at the bottom, under I Need Help With, you can get support documentation, support forums. You can get access to those. And if you'd like to upgrade your plans and stuff like that. So if you just scroll that site, it's organized a little bit differently. It offers similar content to the .org site. And across the top, you have products, you have features, right? And then there's a resources drop down that you can access to get support and news and things of that nature as well. So for future learning, you can either go to WordPress.org, WordPress.com. People use both. A lot of times in WordPress itself, you'll get splashes in there of news, but you can use either .org or .com to get news about WordPress. And I added a third link there. The WordPress Tavern is a community that has a lot of information as well. So I'm going to just go ahead and access the wordpress.org/news link first. So you'll get a feel for what this looks like. So this is the same site we were on for Learn, but it's on the News tab at the top. Same site, just a different tab. So it's giving information about the latest release, and you can see all releases, right? And so you get previews. You have this month in WordPress out there for February 2023. So all kinds of news. It highlights different people, the people of WordPress. You can even subscribe to the news so you don't have to go to the site. If you put your email address in, you'll get the news automatically. And then there is also a podcast, and it's historical, so you can go back and listen to all episodes. The second link there under Module 6 takes you back to WordPress.com. And again, this one here, this is, definitely the news site here, right? And what's new on WordPress.com. So they're giving you stuff about the sites. A new home for WordPress.com courses, just information, some learning things, ideas, what's new on this site, various information. It's like saying here are the new WordPress themes for January 2023. You can get to all posts from this year as well from this site. Last but not least, we'll visit the WordPress Tavern site. And so this has a news tab at the top. You're on news, right? But the drop down, opinion, plugins, themes, events. And so if I go down and I'm just like looking at recent posts, right? There's a post, WordPress 6.2 RC1 was released and ready for testing, right? And so you can read that information. There's some advertisements on here or recommendations, right? Here's a free WordPress block theme with 30 patterns, 30 plus patterns. WordPress Engine Pattern Manager plugin is now in beta. So various news information related to the software. And this is called the WordPress Tavern. So out of these three sites, the .org is the one that you can subscribe so you can get the news delivered to your email. Now we're ready to access the WordPress Codex. The Codex is the official online manual for WordPress software. It holds documentation, tips, and advice for users. So I'm going to go ahead and access that link. You might want to save that to your favorites on your browser so that you have instant access to it as well. Now, this is also from WordPress.org, right? So what you most need to know about WordPress, if you want to learn about the features, you can click here, installing it, the current version. You can get to news and support forums from here, as well as troubleshooting and a glossary of terms. They have a section, learn how to use WordPress, working with themes, writing a plugin, if you want to write a plugin, or you can just use the plugins that are already available to you. You can contribute to the development or give back, which is about, volunteerism. So this is the Codex. I'm going to go back up to the top. I can over here go down and get to the lessons, getting started, all of the things, right? I can access the community portal under Codex resources, current events, recent changes, and there is a help link. So I would really recommend that you just save this page to favorites at some point, as you may want to access it on and off throughout your WordPress journey. There is a host of information out there that is from other WordPress users that you can use to get support. And it's via the WordPress.com forum. So for lesson 8, that's what we're going to go to, that link to get to the forums. You can search questions, keywords, and topics, right? You can add a new topic. There's a drop down. You're looking at all forums. There's an education community, translations, and support are your choices there. We're looking at all topics. You have the ability to look at open topics with no replies, most popular topics, and there is a more drop down, non-support topics, resolved topics, and unresolved topics. So you can filter your list here. The first topic on the list, new to WordPress.com, resources to get started. If you've just created your WordPress.com site and not sure where to start, here's a handy list of some resources that will help you with it. And I can click on that. And it takes me into that topic, right? So it gives me all of these different links to getting to webinars, courses, tips for using the full site editor, so on and so forth. It talks about other tutorials that are out there, and there's a link to them. And then video tutorials about making money with your site, blogging, and getting started with WooCommerce there as well. Now, I can always here use what I call the breadcrumb trail to go back. So I'm back at my original list. There is the best practices and community standards post, so on and so forth. Sometimes when I can't figure out something, I'll come in here and be able to find someone that had the same issue and was able to figure it out. So I would suggest that you get plugged in to the forums. So just to give you a little bit of an inkling of the directory structure from within WordPress, and you'll see this in the next module, specifically theme and plugin directories. So there is a WP-content directory, which has a themes folder in it. And inside that themes folder, you'll see all of the theme files in their separate folders. And then it does the same thing for plugin files. They're under a folder called plugins. So these directories are stored on your web hosting server. And most of the WordPress hosting control panels allow access to File Manager, where you can see all of the different directories and gain access to the things that you have in WordPress. So just a little structure for you to understand that everything is stored on your web hosting server, but you'll have access to it typically from the hosting control panel. So in module 1, you got an introduction to WordPress. We started by going over some common terms, and there's a lot more that you'll run across. We talked about the reasons why people choose WordPress. You got to know the WordPress family. The WordPress core is the head of the household. Themes are the spouse, and plugins are the children. We reviewed many of the rich features of WordPress. And then we started going into our common links file so you can go to either wordpress.org or wordpress.com for additional learning resources to further your education in the application. You also learned how to stay updated with WordPress news. You can subscribe to news from the .org link. We went into the WordPress Codex, the official manual for the software. And you learned how to get to the forums so that you could get support from other users. We ended by talking about where things are stored and the directory structure. And when we get into the next module, and once you get into WordPress and everything, I'll show you how to access those directories. In Module 2, we'll be getting started with WordPress. The first lesson, you'll learn the difference between WordPress.com and WordPress.org. And then we'll start getting and installing WordPress. And we will be installing through an auto installer script. You'll learn more about that and why that's going to happen in a bit. And then we're going to review what's known as the WP-admin panel, commonly called the dashboard. And you'll get a comprehensive tour of WordPress interface so that you'll know how to navigate within it. And we'll end up by getting a Gravatar. You'll learn what that is. And as a part of that lesson, you'll learn about the user roles and capabilities in WordPress. There are two worlds to WordPress. There is WordPress.com and WordPress.org. Both are backed by the same people. There's a ton of collaboration between the two. They each cater to a different market segment. They each have their own personality, community, and culture. .com provides hosting and a platform in which to build your site using WordPress software. .org does not provide hosting, and it's not even a platform as it's often referred to. It is a website hub that houses information, downloads, resources, and a community. So, again, we've been on both of these sites. They both have areas that overlap where you can learn more about WordPress, the software. They both have some sort of news about the application, but they're both backed by the same people, and there's a ton of collaboration. But WordPress.com is what you're using for your website. So let's go ahead and work on getting and installing WordPress. As mentioned, you need both web hosting and a domain name to use WordPress. There are a host of web hosting providers to choose from. The one I am using is Bluehost. It is officially recommended by WordPress.org and has an easy-to-use dashboard. So I do have a list of like 11 of the best WordPress hosting companies as of March 2023 from themeisle.com that I'll bring up on the screen for you. And you'll see that it has the list of 11, right? Bluehost is on the list. Hostinger is on the list. I've used both of those. I'm currently using Bluehost. And it tells you the pricing, the uptime, load time, traffic, rating. And then if I scroll down on this screen, it gives you the details for every hosting provider. So like I mentioned, I'm using Bluehost, but if you're using a different provider, that is fine. This is really your choice. I can't help you make it. You know, I can just tell you I'm currently using Bluehost. That's not an endorsement or anything like that. You need to be comfortable with the choice you make. Although the installation instructions I'm going to give you are based off of Bluehost. Should be similar to any other hosting site. So if you want to use Bluehost, you can just go to bluehost.com. It's also in the theme aisle article, a link to get to it, but you can go to bluehost.com if that is what you're going to choose for your web hosting. And then I'll walk you through the installation steps. And so on the bluehost.com webpage, you want to click on the hosting and websites drop down where my arrow is pointing. And you have the opportunity, I think there's 3 different types of hosting that are listed there. And I chose shared hosting. So if you choose shared hosting, the next screen you see will look like this. And it actually says shared hosting on it, which is good for people like me. Sometimes I work so fast, I select the wrong thing. So this lets me know that I select the right type of hosting that I want, which is shared. And so when you click on Get Started, then you're going to see your plan choices and select the plan. I'm bringing up the page now. Select the plan that you want. So you have a 12-month tab at the top, and then you have a 36-month tab. I'm going to leave it on 12 months. But you have 4 different plans: Basic, Choice Plus, Online Store, Pro. It gives you the pricing, lets you know what it's for, right? For one blog or site. Choice Plus is for adding privacy and security features. Online Store is great to start selling online, and Pro gives you more power with optimized web resources. They all let you know that they will auto renew at the regular rate. And then your hosting, and I believe you're charged annually for these. So your hosting capabilities are listed underneath each plan, as well as website, security, marketing, and e-commerce, depending on the plan. So once you select your plan, then you're going to have to address your domain. And so you can create a new domain, or you can use one that you already own, or you can make one later, right? So if you're going to create a new domain, you can put in what you'd like it to be called, what extension that you're using on it, .com, for example. .com actually drives more SEO than any other dot. So just so you know that. Or if you use a domain that you own, that's not currently being hosted by Bluehost, it will walk you through the steps a little bit later in the process of how to transfer that domain from one hosting provider to this one. So once you set up your domain information on this screen, then you'll be filling out your personal information to create your account on the website. You can also sign in with Google to speed up the process. Next, you'll have to confirm your plan details. So you want to be careful when you get to that screen. Bluehost has several premium add-ons by default, so make sure you go through them carefully and remove ones you don't need. And I believe that they vary which ones they have there as default ones, but they can include like domain privacy and protection, site lock security essentials, Code Guard Basic, Bluehost SEO tools, that kind of thing. So if you don't want to include them, you need to exclude them by unchecking them. Otherwise, they'll be included. And when you get to how much it's going to cost you, you're going to be like, what in the heck is going on? So this is the screen I'm talking about here. And this is just a screenshot from the internet. It's not mine. This is a screen, and you notice it has that domain, privacy, Code Guard Basic, and Site Lock Security checked. So the total at the bottom is reflecting that information as well. You'll also be prompted for a phone number and email address to send your receipt to. It may recommend that you have it sent to an email that's not affiliated with your domain. And you have the option of choosing the number of years you want the plan for, which you saw the 12 or 36 months. After confirming your choices, you'll be able to enter your payment information and process the transaction. And then you'll be able to log into Bluehost, and you'll see that screenshot there. So, depending on what you want to do when you get there, this is showing you logging in on the left, going to My Sites, and then on the right, going to Create Site. When you create a site, you give it a name and a tagline, which is optional, or you can change it later, right? And then you'll do Next. And then before you get to the WordPress installation, you'll have to choose your domain name. It might pop up automatically there since you chose it earlier. Otherwise, you just select it from that domain dropdown. And then you will click Next, which is not showing on the screen. And it will automatically start installing WordPress for you. And so you'll automatically, after it's done installing WordPress, you'll automatically get your brand new WordPress website along with login credentials, all right, which that information has been emailed to you. And then you could simply click on Login to WordPress to get into WordPress. Now, if you chose another hosting provider, the process might be a little bit different, but each provider should be able to provide you with step-by-step installation instructions. Because we're using a hosting provider, it installed WordPress for us using an auto installer script. If you are self-hosting via a direct download of free WordPress software, you would have to go through the installation steps to install the software. And another thing, if you're using an already established domain, normally the domain DNS takes 0 to 8 hours to propagate, and it's known to take up to 48 hours maximum to completely propagate. The propagation time varies depending on the geographic location. In the meantime, you will be assigned a temporary URL and some functionality will be limited. So your screen should look similar to mine if you logged into WordPress. At the top of the screen, of course, you're seeing the hosting provider, Bluehost. And above that, you see the WordPress interface. So along the top, we have some quick options on a toolbar. And over on the left side, we have different panels that contain your site's functionality. And we'll go over those shortly. So earlier, we talked a little bit about the directory structure where you could find, for example, your plugins and your themes. And your database, which contains all of the information from your site, is stored on your provider side, not in WordPress. So just to show you where to go to see your directory structure, at the top of your screen, you're in the white area. You're going to hover over Bluehost and you'll see that it says go to your Bluehost control panel. And that's what we want to do. On the left side, you're seeing this is all Bluehost things. It is not anything to do with WordPress other than you can log into WordPress from here. So we're going to go on the left side. We're going to click on Advanced. And I've put a privacy blocker on the right side of my screen. But under Advanced, you're going to select File Manager. And that's where you'll see your directory structure. It stores all of your website info in the public HTML folder. So I'm going to expand that folder. And then it's stored in the WP-content subfolder. And you can see that you have plugins, themes, uploads. So by default, out of the box, the core comes with some themes. And we can do the plus sign in front of themes. And each theme has its own folder. So if we expand, say, the Sinatra folder, you'll see a different bunch of subfolders, one of which is template parts. And when you expand that, you'll see that it has different folders for the content, the entry, footer, header, so on and so forth for templates. So these are core themes that are in there, and they're based on templates, and those are the different parts of the templates. Now I'm going to collapse the themes folder and expand the plugins folder, and these are all the plugins that come out of the box with WordPress core. So we'll be revisiting plugins in detail when we get to module 5, but I just wanted to let you know, since I referenced it earlier, that it's from your hosting provider that your website information is stored. It's not stored in WordPress. To get back to WordPress from here, I have my address bar hidden. So I'm going to just hover over here, and you can see that it opened this in new window. So I'm going to close both of those cPanel tabs. And I have the Bluehost portal tab there, and you can log back into WordPress if it didn't keep you logged in. Now, in my case, it did keep me logged in, but just wanted to show you how to get out of there. So you can make your way back to your WordPress site. And we're going to take a tour of the WordPress interface. And I'm going to start at the top with the quick options bar that runs along the very top of the screen. And the first thing you'll see up there is the WordPress logo. And when you hover over that, it gives you information about WordPress. You can get to wordpress.org from there, documentation, support, and offer feedback. The next icon is the house, and it says the name of your site. And when you hover over that, you can actually visit your site, which we haven't built yet. This next icon is indicating that there are some kind of updates available. And I'm going to click on it. It has a 1 next to it. And so, yeah, it's taking me to WordPress updates. Now, some of these pop-ups kind of take up space. So anything that I don't need, I'm going to use the X to its right to close. If there's anything that has an X, you can go ahead and close it. So these are WordPress updates, right? You have several different plugins that come with WordPress core. And this message, please set up website analytics to see audience insights, is based on Monster Insights plugin. So it comes out of the core, but it needs to be set up. It says your site is currently displaying a coming soon page because we haven't built anything. And you'll learn how to launch your site a little bit later. It gives you the current version, that you have the latest version. If you need to reinstall it, you can do it there. And then it lets you know if any of the plugins that come with the core have updates available, and they do. One of them does. So you'll notice on the left now, it took you to dashboard, and we're looking at updates, and we got there by doing this circular arrow with the 1 on the quick options toolbar. The next one is if you have any notifications or comments. So I click on that one. When you create a WordPress site, it gives you a placeholder comment, so to speak. So if you want to view that post, right, this is where you could comment on that post. It puts a post in here and it gives you a default comment. But if you wanted to view that post, you could click this link here. So this is just the default post that you get when you get to your site, your very new site that you haven't done anything on. And I just used the back arrow on my browser to get back to the comments page. And because we went there from the quick options, if you notice on the left, it now has you on comments. So if you were navigating the left bar, that's where you would go to get to where we are. Back to the top bar, the new button, you can start a new post, you can add new media, new page, new user, new form, new pop-up from that drop down. And then you have an icon that looks like the letter Y, and when you hover over it, it says SEO settings. So remember, that's search engine optimization. And there is a plugin that comes with the core named Yoast, and that is actually the Yoast icon that we're hovering on. And so you get its default free version included in WordPress, but it can be upgraded to a premium version. The next area is caching, where you can purge all and get to your cache settings. And then you have Insights. So this Insights is that Monster Insights plugin where it's telling you that you need to set it up, right? So if we click on Insights at the top, it's going to give us the same message that it needs to be set up. The next one is WP Forms, another plugin that comes automatically with the core. It's a really cool tool to build forms with. And it does have a pro version that you can upgrade to. Then you have your need help. To the right of that, you have your site status, which is coming soon. We don't have anything. And then you have, I think these are notifications. Yeah, these are every notification I got that's read, unread in those categories. And then you have your account information. So that is the tour of the top bar. So now we're on the comments page, and we were able to view that Hello World default post that the comment is in response to from the comments page. Well, let's start on the left again. So on the left, let's click on Jetpack. Jetpack is another plugin that comes out of the core with WordPress. And you'll notice when we select Jetpack, it expands. So this is the Jetpack options: dashboard, settings, stats, search, and my Jetpack. Then we get to post on the left side. So when I click on post, it's automatically showing me all posts. Now, I will warn you, because of the resolution I need to use for creating this video, and it only seems to happen on my post page here, the left side looks really compressed. But I'll show you a screenshot of what this should look like and what it probably looks like on your screen. So because of my resolution, mine turned vertical. So underneath that Hello World post, it says edit, quick edit, trash, view, and there's an updated one, fairly new. I believe this is as of January 2023, that mine also has, that says Blaze. So mine just happened to be vertically oriented, and I can read them, but this is what it should look like on your screen. So this is where your posts will be in WordPress. The comments are in a different section, which we just saw. So if I wanted to view this post, I can just click on my vertical view word here. And there it is. And I can use my back arrow to go to the previous screen. We will talk more in depth about these options when we get to module 3, our next module. We'll go into detail about what you can and cannot do in here. So if you notice on the left, we're still on post, right? We're seeing all of them. You can go to add new. You can go to categories, and we'll be doing that in our next module. And then you get to media, and we will be addressing media in module 4. All right. And then we'll go back to our posts and add media to some of our posts and page that we're going to create. Next thing you have is your pages. So when you start a new WordPress site, it gives you a sample page and a draft privacy policy page. And we'll revisit pages again. We'll touch on them briefly in Module 3 and then really dig in Module 4. We already looked at comments. OptiMonster is that it's a plugin, so we're going to skip that. So is Creative Mail. Feedback will be where you will find any form responses that you get should you create a form using WP Forms and have it on your site. Then you get to appearance, and this is where you can pick your theme for your site. We will be revisiting in the next module. You have, and I have, a number 1 next to my plugins. And so when I click on plugins, this is where I can see a full list of all of the plugins that come out of the box. And also it's letting me know that there's a new version. That's why I have that number 1 next to plugins. And we saw that from our notification screen earlier. Then we get to users, and we're going to revisit users. I'm going to skip it for now. Our next topic in this module is users. And we'll hover over tools, and you'll see that you have available tools, import, export, several other options there. We will be learning about importing and exporting content when we get to Module 4. So we'll come back here then. And then you get to settings, and we're going to click on settings. This is the general settings page, and it has some information about at the top, it's really pushing you to set up your website analytics. It lets you know that your site is currently displaying a coming soon page. And once you're ready, you would launch your site. It has the site title and the tagline. So when I created this site, I put in a tagline, and in here, I just changed it to say, Learn It WordPress Video Course. It gives you the WordPress address and the site address. I have a privacy blocker at the bottom of the screen for the administration email address. And then there's a membership checkbox for anyone can register. You notice I'm leaving mine unchecked. Again, we're going to talk about users in the next part of this module. So that is the default user role. For a new user would be subscriber, and you'll learn what that means in just a few. You'll get your site language here, the time zone that you're using, and you can do the drop down there, your UTC time, or you can put in a city name, something like that, to get the right time for yourself. You can choose the date format and time format for your site. And there's a link there for documentation on date and time formatting. You can say when your week starts. Say my week starts on Sunday. And your cache level, we're not going to deal with this in this course. Once you make changes on this page at the bottom, you have to click Save Changes. So if you've made changes, go ahead and click that. So these are the general settings. You also have writing settings. And so I'm going to click on writing. So here, your default post category, and we're going to really zoom in on post in our next module, but your default would be uncategorized, right? We haven't even built any categories yet, so that is the built-in category. And when we start the next module, you'll learn about the different default post formats. Gives you information about what you need to do to post to WordPress by email. And then it lets you know the update services that are notified by WordPress automatically. You also have reading settings. So you can say your home page displays your latest post or a specific page. Blog pages show at most 10 posts. You can change all of these items. And you may want to come back and change these once we set up our blog and our post in the next module. Revisit your reading settings. You have discussion settings. So other options about your post and your comments. And once we, work on our site a little bit, we will come back and revisit some of these settings, especially reading and discussion. You have media settings where you can change, default image sizes. And then permalinks. I think when we went over common terms, we talked about permalinks, right? Also known as slugs. So this is where you can change the structure, and they're giving you examples here, right? So on mine, I have it set for the slug would be the name of the post at the end of the URL. And you also have, last but not least, privacy settings. So again, when we looked at pages, it gives you a default privacy settings page, which is not enabled. You can enable it if you want to use it, or you could come here to create a new privacy policy page or change your privacy policy page. So if you need to have a privacy policy, as a website owner, it says here, you may need to follow national or international privacy laws. So this is what that is referencing in terms of your settings. And the last two items are two more plugins, Yoast SEO and that Monster Insight. So, and you can also collapse that sidebar to get more working space if you'd like. And so that concludes the main tour. And now we're going to talk about Gravatars. So a gravatar is a specific type of avatar. It stands for globally recognized avatar. And that's what WordPress uses. They follow you around the web and automatically appear when you post a comment on a WordPress site. So you can register with Gravatar. The service matches your WordPress profile information to the email address registered with Gravatar and displays your custom Gravatar image next to comments and optionally elsewhere on the site. If you choose not to sign up with Gravatar, the default icon set by the administrator will appear next to your name. So you can do this for free if you want to get a Gravatar. And all you need is an image of yourself. By the way, if you have two different images, we can use two different images for two different users. And so if you look in the upper right-hand corner where my profile information is, you will see that little picture there is my Gravatar. And so how did I get it? If you go to gravatar.com, you can click, if you don't already have an account, you can click on Create Your Gravatar. And this is all you need to fill in to sign up for the Gravatar with a WordPress account. So you would fill this out, create your account. And once you do that, so I've already have mine set up, but it should give you the ability to add an email address or pick an email to modify. It may have your primary address in there, and that is your WordPress email that you used. And then you can add images. So you can see my 2 images. I have 2 different emails that I have privacy blocked. And these are 2 users that I am using in my WordPress account. So if you set up your Gravatars, they'll instantly show up in the user section in WordPress. Another way, or if you choose not to use Gravatars, under settings on the left, let's go back to discussion and scroll almost all the way to the bottom till you get to the avatar section. So if you want to use Gravatars, you have to make sure that show avatars is checked. You can give a maximum rating for your avatars, right? For users without a Gravatar, you can give them any of these icons to represent them within WordPress. When we were reviewing settings, we saw the default user role of subscriber. And so what I've done is I've added a slide in here that shows you all of the possible user roles that are available in WordPress, also known as capabilities. So the 2 on the top, SEO editor and SEO manager, will only be there if you have a plugin for SEO. So the core comes with the Yoast SEO plugin, and we should be able to see SEO editor and manager on our list of user roles. So the editor can only access the SEO content box in posts and pages and other areas where they might need to adjust. And the manager has the ability to edit the Yoast SEO settings and its metadata information. The editor cannot do that. Our default role of subscriber is the one with the least amount of permissions or capabilities. The only part of a site that a subscriber can modify is their profile page. That's it. We have contributor, can write posts, but has no control over publication. Once written, the post will be submitted for proofreading by a user with more rights, who will decide whether or not it can be published. Contributor can add categories and tags via the post editing interface. The contributor will not be able to modify the post online and can only read comments under the post that they've created if they are published, but they cannot moderate the comments. Then we have author, can publish posts, send files, and add images. The author can also modify and delete their own publications. They can moderate comments on their articles. They cannot intervene on the publications of other users, which is what an editor can do. Editors have control over all editorial matters. They can publish pages, also edit and delete them, even if they're created by other users. They can add, modify, and delete categories and tags. And they can completely manage comments and validate, moderate, and delete them. And then the administrator, which is the role we're in now when you sign up and log into your WordPress site, that's the administrator, can do everything on your site. So the SEO editor and SEO manager roles, sometimes people hire people, outside people, contractors, to fulfill those roles. And instead of having to give them full access via administrator, we now have the capability of giving them SEO editor or SEO manager, depending on what they need to do. So I left my default avatar as the mystery person here. On the left, we're going to go over to users. And so here on the users, I'm seeing all users, and I, of course, have my privacy block on for the email address, but you're seeing the Gravatars that I assigned to those email addresses in gravatar.com. So if I add another user, and I only have the 2 Gravatars in there, So I'm going to click on the left. I'm going to click on Add New under Users. And if you have another email address that you'd like to use, if you put like another picture in your Gravatar, you can do it here. But I want to direct your attention down to the bottom where we saw that default user role is subscriber. So you want to keep your eye on that and give them the proper assignment. If we do the drop down there, we'll see all of the ones that I just covered with you on the slide. So I'm not going to add another user. I just wanted to show you how you would do it so you could see your second Gravatar if you set that up. In this module, we focused on getting started with WordPress, and we learned the difference between WordPress.com and WordPress.org before we moved on to getting and installing WordPress. And again, my instructions were based on using Bluehost as a hosting provider. Because we used a hosting provider, it installed WordPress through an auto installer script, as opposed to us going to WordPress.com, downloading the software and having to go through the installation steps on our own with a self-hosted site. We spent some time going over the WP-admin panel, known as the dashboard, its interface, so that you will know how to navigate around WordPress. And then we went into how to get a Gravatar and spent some time learning about user roles and capabilities. And I showed you my users so you could see the Gravatars. And again, they will follow the user with that email around the internet. It will, if I post a comment on someone's WordPress site, my Gravatar would show for my comment. In Module 3, we're going to start creating blog content and really starting to build up our website. So we'll start by going over some WordPress admin conventions. And then and like I said, we're going to really do a deep dive on pages in Module 4, but we want to set up our home page. And we'll do that in Lesson 2 here. And then we'll start posting. We're going to be doing a blog site, so we'll start posting on our blog. We'll have several posts that we put up. You'll learn about discussion on your blog, meaning the comments, and we'll also learn how to add and manage categories. And then we'll be able to go back to our post and apply the categories that we get to in Lesson 5 here. So in WordPress, admin conventions are being described on this slide. And you've already seen this when we were doing our tour of the WordPress interface. So you have the ability to manage a number of different types of content and content sorting types, including posts, categories, pages, links, media uploads, and more. And the beauty of it is WordPress uses a similar format for various screens, like posts and pages, and even comments. For every piece of content in WordPress that you might want to manage, there will be a screen listing them. And as mentioned, some of them are very similar. So you've seen this slide before because of my resolution, the actions for a post are showing vertically. So, this looks very similar to the pages screen and very similar to comment screen. So you have that comfortability level within the application when you're working in it. So we left off on the new user screen when we were in here before. And a couple of things before we move on. It automatically generates strong passwords for you. You can have it generate another one, or you can put in the password that you want for that user. And you do want to make sure you leave this checked to send the new user an email about their account, and it will give them their login information and how to access the site. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go back to general settings for a moment. And we've been here before when I showed you how you could change the tagline. You can even change the site title. And now that we're getting ready to create our blog site, I want to make the title and the tagline specific to that. I will be using this domain for multiple purposes. So I'm going to change the site title here. And it's going to be, because my blog is going to be about gardening, I'm going to call it Gardening is My Peace Blog. And you'll notice it updates in the upper left-hand corner where you have the house, right? That's where the title is showing. And then I'm going to change the tagline here to the Enthusiastic Gardener. And I'm going to scroll down to the bottom and save those changes. And now we're ready to select a theme for our site. And remember, the theme is the spouse in the WordPress family. We're going to, on the left side, we're going to hover over Appearance and click on Themes. So underneath the messages, you'll see the themes that come with WordPress core. And the active theme is 2023. You can see that it can be customized. When you hover over it, you can click and see the theme details. All right, so it gives you all the information about the theme. It gives you a look at how it looks on a site. And we're going to go ahead in the upper right hand corner and close that detail window. And we can see what it looks like on that sample page on our site. So we can go up to where it says Gardening is My Peace Blog, where the house is, on the options toolbar, and we can go to visit the site. And there's that Hello World sample page. And to get back, you can just simply use the back button on your browser. If I hover over the Sinatra theme, this one, in addition to being able to see the theme details, you can either activate it and you can also get a live preview of it. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Live Preview. And so it kind of shows me what that theme would look like with my limited content at this point. If I liked it and I wanted to keep it, I could activate and publish, but I'm going to do the X in the upper left-hand corner. And if you'd like, you can take a look at the other two themes that are included. The 2021 theme has a live preview. 2022 does not. And then you have the option to add a new theme. Now, there are other themes that are available to you that you don't have to pay extra for. And so it shows you in this list the ones that are already installed, right? So I have 2023 and 2022 installed, and that's why 2022 won't let you have the preview. When I'm looking at it here, it says details and preview. And then these are just generically speaking, all of the other themes that are available. Now at the top, it lets you know that there's 243 themes. And there's a gear, and it says feature filter. Let's limit our list. So let's select feature filter. And under subject, we'll select blog. For features, we'll do accessibility ready and featured image header, featured images. And we will leave the layout unselected. So we have, oh, actually in features, let's also select post formats. So any theme related ones will be there. And we'll go to apply filters at the bottom. And so now we're seeing a limited list of themes that meet that criteria. I'm going to hover over a gamma blue and click on details and preview. And so it shows you a preview. It's not a live preview, meaning your data, but it's showing you a preview of what that blog would look like. It has a home page, which has the blog entries on it, an about page, and then there's a parent page there, which is a sub page in this example. And if you wanted to get this theme, you can install it at the top. We're going to go ahead and close. And I'm going to go back to the feature filter gear and clear the filter. And I just click themes on the left again to get back to the main themes page. So I think that what I'm going to do is I am going to activate the Sinatra theme. And I'm going to go back up to the house and visit my site. So you can see that it has the name, the site title. It has that Hello World post. We're on the home tab, and then there's a sample page. And so that's a sample page that's in the pages category in WordPress. Has a search box, recent posts would show here, recent comments would show here. And at the bottom, you have the ability to use widgets for footers. And so to get back from here, I can just hover over where it now looks like a clock and it says gardening is my peace blog. And I can go back to themes from there. And I decide that I want to go back to my 2023 theme. So I'm going to activate it. And then take a look at that theme on your site, on your own. We can always customize our theme later or switch to a different theme later. But right now we're going to go ahead and create 2 pages for our site. So on the left side, we're going to go ahead and go over to pages. And so when you click directly on pages, it takes you to all pages. And so we were here before, and we can see the admin convention. This screen is set up very much like the post screen, like the comment screen. Some of the things on here, it shows you how many pages, how many are published, how many are draft. I had one from earlier that's in trash. It also has bulk actions, right, which you can edit and move to trash. You can apply from here. Pages from all dates or just from a particular date range. All SEO scores, all readability scores. You can filter, so on and so forth. And over on the right, it shows 2 items, right? That title page does not count. If you notice, if you hover over it, you don't get the edit, quick edit, trash options. And so what we're going to do, the first page we're going to do is we're going to just edit the sample page. So I'm hovering over it and I'm going to choose edit. And the only thing we're going to change for right now is its title. So I'm going to click where and select sample page, and I'm going to type about me. And in the upper right hand corner, you'll see a blue update button. I'm going to go ahead and click that. It lets me know in the bottom left that the page was updated. I could view the page from there. We'll talk more about this interface in just a little while. And I used my back navigation to get back to the all pages screen. And you can see that it just updated the title of that page to About Me. You may need to refresh your browser to get that update. And now we're going to add another page to this. Now I'm going to click on Add New from the left sidebar. And the only thing we're going to do with this page right now, we're going to add content to the About Me page as well as this page in just a little bit. We just want to give it a title, and the title is Blog. Now, we don't have the update button in the upper right hand corner because this is a new page, so we're going to publish it. It asks if we're ready to publish, right? Now, if it wasn't for the next thing that we were going to do, I might suggest that we keep this private for now, but we want to be able to tell it which page to show when users go to the site. So we're going to leave it on public. If no one has your URL, nobody will be seeing it if you haven't finished building out your site yet. So it's fine. You can leave it on public. And we are going to choose the blue Publish button. I can use the X to close that panel on the right side. And now it's an existing page, so if I make changes, you'll notice that the Update button is there. It's a published page. And I'm going to just use my browser's back button to get back to the pages screen, and I may have to refresh in order to see the blog page there. So About Me and Blog. Now, again, we're going to be adding content to those pages, but first, what I want us to do is go to Settings on the left and go to Reading Settings. So we covered this page earlier, right? And now we're seeing where your home page displays your latest posts or a static page. We're going to do the option button for a static page. And for the home page, we're going to select About Me. So when people visit your site, that will be their landing page. And then we're going to say for the post page, we're going to select Blog. And in order to do that, you have to have publicly posted pages to make these changes here. That's why we didn't make it private. We'll leave these default settings that the blog pages show, at most 10 posts. And for each post in the feed, we can see the full text for now. But again, some of this is theme dependent. Because we didn't select a blog specific theme, each theme has its own blog kind of format for the post. So when we're going to go to the bottom and we're going to save our changes for those settings. Let's visit our site again and see that our About Me page is the landing page. And then in the upper right, you have the link to the blog page, which has that sample post on it. And I'm going to go back to the clock and just go back to dashboard here. And then I can navigate back to all pages. Notice since we changed the reading setting, it says About Me is the front page and Blog is the post page. And we're going to modify the About Me page. So I'm going to hover over it and I'm going to select Edit. We are going to add our own content, get rid of the sample content on this page. But before we do so, let's talk a little bit about this interface. The first thing I want to point out, in the lower left corner, it says page, so you know that you're modifying a page. You also have some icons going across the top, right? The first one, the WordPress icon, you can view your pages. We don't need to do that in this moment. The next one is to toggle the block inserter. And just go ahead and click it. And notice now on the left side, you have all of these different what are called blocks. They're divided into categories. So your text blocks include paragraphs, headings, lists, quotes, so on and so forth. You have media blocks there, design blocks, widgets, theme blocks, so on and on. There's also a patterns tab there. So you can we're looking at featured patterns, right? But you can have 3 columns of text is what's showing, 3 columns with images and text, open spaces. So these are kind of like things that you can use to build up your page. Now, since we use that button to toggle the blocks, the plus sign is now an X. And when we click it, it gets rid of that block area, but it doesn't bring up the panel that was on the right when we first came in. To bring that panel back up, we're going to go to the gear, which is settings, and that's what brings that right panel up. The next icon going across the top is tools, the pencil icon. So edit and select are your tools. You also have undo and redo. You have details, and you can look at items in a list view by clicking that line button. So you're looking at a paragraph is selected right now, right? When you hover over paragraph, it shows you the paragraph. If there's any quotes, when you click on these items, it's showing you in list view. And we can go back to the 3 lines to get rid of that view. You can switch to draft. You can preview from the right. You can update after you make changes. This is, the Yoast SEO plugin, and Jetpack is another plugin that shows up there. And then you have an options ellipsis where you can view different things and get into different editors and tools from here. So that right panel is showing information by default about the page. So it's showing the visibility of the page. If I click on public, it shows you how you can change the visibility, right? So when it was last published, the URL, it's using a page template from the theme that we're using. The author, I can move the page to trash from here, or I can do it from the all pages screen. And then it gives OptiMonster is another plugin. It has those settings. All the plugin settings are over there. The template we're using allows for a featured image. And we will come back in the next module and add an image to this page. You have a discussion section there. So this is the About Me page. I'm not going to allow comments on my About Me page. And then you have page attributes, and we don't have to worry about this right now. So up at the top, we're going to go to the block tab, and it says no block selected. So if I select this first paragraph, if I click anywhere within the first paragraph, that block panel fills in. So on that right panel, it has a color section. So I can change the text color for that paragraph, give it a background color. If I had any links within it, those links could have a specific color. I can change the size of the type. And then it has a plus sign next to dimensions where it talks about padding and margin, which we're not going to worry about. And there are more advanced settings there as well. So, but what we want to do is we want to change all of this text. And I'm going to show you two different ways of doing this. So the first way is I'm going to triple click and select that first paragraph. And I'm going to just type hello and welcome everyone. I'm going to put an exclamation point at the end. So that's what I want the first paragraph on my About Me page to say. Now, I want to get rid of all these other blocks. And so I'm going to just select everything to the bottom. And you'll notice that I have on the right, it now says that I have 4 blocks selected. And cumulatively, there are 106 words. And so that little toolbar that's above the selection, right? I'm going to go to the options ellipsis, and I'm going to choose remove blocks. And now I'm going to press enter after hello and welcome everyone. And I want to collapse all of this Yoast SEO information. So I'm going to use this arrow. It has the blue square around it, the up arrow there, to collapse that. And now that I pressed enter, it says type / to choose a block. So if I click there and I type a /, it lets me choose certain types of blocks, right? If I wanted to add columns here, or an image, or a heading, or a quote, things of that nature, even audio. I'm going to just backspace and get rid of that /. And to the right, you'll see a plus sign to add a block. So we're going to add a block. And we want to add a paragraph, another paragraph. And I will type in and show you my content. Now, my blog is about gardening, but this About Me page is a great way for you to introduce yourself to your potential audience when they visit your site. So you can view the content that I put on more paragraph blocks, and paragraph is the default block. So when I showed you how to do the plus sign and select paragraph, you don't really have to do that. You just have to press enter after each paragraph, and the next thing you do will be another block. So when I select everything over here, except for the page title, About Me, and I look over on the right, it lets me know that I have 4 blocks and 160 words. And again, once we get into using the media library, I'm going to come back to this About Me page and add an image or 2. For right now, I'm going to go up to the upper right and update this page. Other than using your browser's back arrow, we can go to the WordPress icon. When you hover over it, it says View Pages, and when you click it, it takes you back to the WordPress interface on the All Pages screen. So now we're ready to create our first post. So we're going to go to Post, well, first, before I do that, I'm going to get rid of this. I want to delete this hello world post. So I'm going to just send it to trash. And so we have no posts found. On the left, I'm going to select add new under post. We're going to create 4 very short posts, and we will come back and add pictures to them once we get to our next module. So for right now, you're kind of familiar with this interface. I will tell you this H over here is the headline analyzer, and we don't have a headline or a title, so it's not analyzing anything. We're going to ignore the Yoast, SEO, and the Jetpack information that may come up. For this first post, if we look over on the right side panel and it's on post, we want to stick this to the top of the blog. We want this first post to always be at the top of the blog. And I'm going to scroll down in that panel, and you'll see at the bottom, it defaults, it allows comments. So we would like discussion on our post. And now we're ready to create the first post. So the first one, the title is going to be About My Garden. Just sticking with my theme. And I've used my down arrow to get to the line where it says type slash to choose a block. And this is where I'm going to just put my first paragraph here. So my first paragraph is just going to be about the location of my garden. So my garden is in Northern California. And again, whatever your blog is about, you can be creating your first post using your own words if you like. And the temperature can get to below freezing in winter, and in the summer it is very hot. Here's the rest of my post, and you'll notice that the editor has a built-in spell check. Just like in most text programs, you can just right-click on the underlined word and get to the suggestion, add it to the dictionary, ignore it, typical settings. And again, feel free to copy my post if you would like to. And I'm going to go up to the upper right and go ahead and publish this post. And I don't have to change any of my settings, so I'm going to click publish again. And you can see in the panel, About My Garden is now live, and it gives information about it over on the right. I am going to close that panel, and I'm going to use the WordPress icon to get back to view post. Now that we have our first post, let's go take a look at our page. So I'm going up to the house, the upper left corner, and we can see the About Me page. And on the upper right, we have our navigation menu, so we can go to the blog page from there. And when we get here, it's interesting because there's nothing on our blog page that says Mind Blown, a blog about philosophy. So that is part of the theme that I'm using. I think I'm on the 2023 theme, and that's part of the theme. And when I go to the blog page to try to edit it away, it just simply doesn't show on that page. And there's an editor under Appearance in Beta mode that lets you get to the About Me page, but it won't let you go to the blog page to edit that out. So in situations like that, and they're really, usually it's not this clunky. Usually they don't have something like that come through in the theme, but in this case, it's happening. So what we're going to do is we're going to change to a different theme. So let's go up to the clock and click on themes. So the one I'm thinking about using has a little bit of color in the background, and it can be modified if necessary, and that's the 2021 theme. I'm going to hover over it and go to live preview. So now that we have some of our own content, we can see at the top, it has the site title and tagline. And on the left side, you have a panel where you can customize this theme. And so if you expand site identity, you can change the title and the tagline from here, or you can tell it not to display that, right? I'm going to do this left pointing arrow next to site identity to get back to the full panel. You'll notice there's no navigation at the top to get to the blog page. If I scroll down, I see the search box. It's a link to my recent post. There's no comments yet, archives, no categories yet. And so right now, that's the only way I can get to that post, right? Without having a menu. So we can create a menu for this theme. So a user doesn't have to go all the way to the bottom. And then that recent post is going to end up being a limited list. So on the left side, we're going to expand menus. And you can have menus in 2 locations on your page. You can have one in the upper location, and you can have another one at the bottom. They can be the same or different. So what we're going to do is we're going to, under menus, we're going to go to view all locations, expand that, and we're going to create a new primary menu first, which shows at the top of the page. So I'm going to just name the menu primary. And so because of the way we went in through locations, primary is already selected here. And we're going to click next to start adding our locations. So now we're going to add items. And so we have our pages here. And I'm going to add about me and the blog page. And that's all I'm going to add to that primary menu. So now what I can do is I can do the back arrow at the top to get back to your customizing menus. And you can see the primary menu is there. So I can go from about me to my blog page. Now we're going to set up our secondary menu. So we're going to go back to view all locations. And under secondary, we're going to click the create new menu link. We're going to name it secondary and choose next. And then add items. And I'm just going to select post here. And notice when the About My Garden post comes up, it says sticky next to it. So sticky means it will stay at the top of the list until another post through this interface is marked sticky, until you add another post sticky. So then that one will take the dominant position. And that's all we're going to add to this secondary menu is the post. So we can do the back arrow at the top left again. And click on primary to expand it. And for this one, at the bottom under menu options, we want to check automatically add new top level pages to this menu. So if we create any other pages, they will automatically be added to the menu. And let's do the back arrow again and again. So you could change the colors here if you wanted to. And you can have dark mode support on your site, which you can read about there. If you wanted to change the background color of the site, you can change it. I'm going to leave it the way it is. I'm going to do the back arrow. And at the top, I'm going to go ahead and activate and publish. Once it's published, I can close that panel. And now I can go back up and visit my site. When we created the About Me page, we had the title About Me at the top before hello and welcome everyone. Now, if we were to go back and edit the page and look at it, it has that title there, but this template has removed it. The template for that part of this theme has removed it. Now, I could go and add it back in by editing the theme again, but I've decided it doesn't really need to be there on the page. Just having that About Me underlined lets them know what page you're on and that it is the About Me page. So I'm going to just use the clock to get back to my WordPress interface. So I'm back on my posts page. I wanted to have a total of 4 posts, but what we're going to do is we're going to add one more post and we're going to put headings in it. And so let's go over to Add New. And for this one, the title is going to be What Grows in My Garden. And this is where it says type / to choose a block. On the right side, we're going to do the plus sign. And we're going to choose heading. And it defaults to heading 2. And if you click on that H2, we're going to switch it to heading 3, which is a little bit smaller. And then for the heading here, it's going to be vegetables. And I'm going to enter. So now it'll give me a default paragraph block. So there's my first paragraph. I'm going to press enter, hover over it, go back to the plus sign and choose heading again and switch it to H3. And my second heading is herbs. So there's my paragraph about herbs. And I'm going to add one more heading 3. And it's going to be fruit. And you can now see my fruit paragraph. I'm going to go ahead and publish this post. And once it's published, I'm just going to go close that panel and go back to WordPress. So again, my post page is the one that's really strange looking. It's doing the vertical thing, but you can see that I have my About My Garden post and I have my What Grows in My Garden post. And I can go back to the site and go to my blog page to see my post. And then back to WordPress. Now that we've created a few posts, our next topic is discussion on your blog. In other words, comments on your blog. So I have 2 browser windows side by side. On the left side, the one that's blue, that's my admin account that I've been working in. Where I've created the pages and the blog posts. And you can see my Gravatar there. It has a hat. And on the right side is my training user account. And that Gravatar is different. They're both pictures of me. It feels weird. But anyway, I'm playing the role of 2 different people right now. So on my training user account, I'm already in my blog. and I'm looking at the what grows in my garden post. And down at the bottom of it, it tells me when it was published, who published it, and that it's uncategorized. And then it lets me know that I'm logged in as training user and I can leave a comment. So I'm going to put in a brief comment. So my comment is about, have you considered growing cherries? They work out well for me, and I'm also in Northern California. And then underneath that, I'm going to click post comment. So my training user does not have capabilities to post directly on the blog. So it notifies them that your comment is awaiting moderation. This is a preview. Your comment will be visible after it has been approved. So now on my admin screen, on the comments page, you'll see that training user comment, and I can approve it. I can reply. I can edit because I'm the admin. I can send it to trash. I can say that it's spam. I can view the post if I want to. And what I am going to do is I am going to select approve. And once I do that, it now gives me the option to unapprove it. So now as my admin user, I've gone to the site, and since I approved it, I can now see the training user comment on that post. And so I'm going to go back to the clock to get back to WordPress. And what I like to do here is go back to pages. And I want to check something on that blog post page. I want to edit it. And since we have the commenting feature enabled on the post, I'm going to scroll down on the right panel, and I'm going to uncheck allow comments on this blog page. We're just going to have them available for the post. And now I'm going to update that page. And I'm going to go back to my WordPress interface. Our last lesson in this module is using categories, or adding and managing categories. We're not going to be using tags in here, but it's worth it to know what categories and tags are. So there are two primary ways to group content on a WordPress site, and both are used in conjunction with SEO. Categories are general labels. It's recommended that you use no more than 2 to 3 categories per post. So for example, vegetables, herbs, fruits. Tags are more specific and indicate the individual things the post talks about. You're expected to use multiple tags per post. So for example, garden, gardening, cherry tomatoes, tomatoes, plants. And again, our focus will be on categories, but these are used in conjunction with SEO. If someone is searching on the internet, it helps. And when you learn more about SEO, you'll learn more about tags and categories. So I'm going to go back over to WordPress now. So we're going to hover over post in the left sidebar and choose categories. So we have a default category. It's called uncategorized. We're going to leave that alone. And it's already set up to add a new category. Our first category is going to be vegetables. And the slug, remember, that's the permalink. I'm just going to have it say vegetables in all lowercase. It's not going to have a parent category, and you'll see what that is in just a little bit. It creates a hierarchy of sorts. We don't have to put in a description. It says underneath that some themes may show it, others not. We're going to just go to the bottom and click on Add New Category. So now we see our vegetables category over there. Now, before we add another one, let's go and look at vegetables. We can edit it. So just like a lot of the screens, you have those edit components and quick edit components. And when you edit a category, it allows you to add media. So pictures, video, audio, all of that stuff. You can also add forms, contact forms, or, this is the description area. So instead of putting in a description, you could potentially use a picture. So that's what happens when you go to edit category. Has a bunch of SEO stuff at the bottom. So I'm going to go back over to categories on the left. And now we're going to add another category. And this one is going to be tomatoes. And the slug is going to be tomatoes. Same thing in all lowercase. For this one, we're going to assign it a parent category. And it's going to be vegetables. And we're going to go to the bottom and just add. Our next one is going to be cherry tomatoes. And the slug is going to be lowercase cherry hyphen tomatoes. Notice the parent category is still on vegetables, and that's great if that's what you want. And we're going to leave that there. And we're going to add another new category. So now we have bell peppers. Oops. And the slug is going to be lowercase bell hyphen peppers. Leave the same parent and add. Now we're going to have another category, and it's going to be called herbs. And the slug is going to be herbs. We're not giving this one a parent, so change that to none and add. So now we're going to add basil with the same slug, lowercase. We're going to give this a parent category of herbs and add. And since it retained that, the next few that we're going to add are going to use that same parent category. So we have cilantro. And then we have mint. Next up is oregano. Then rosemary. And the last herb is thyme. And we have one more category we're going to do, and it's going to be fruits, or fruit, just fruit. And no parent. As you look at your list of categories, you'll notice the ones that don't have a parent are not indented or in any way as you scroll through the list. And the ones that are children to the parent are indented under their parent. So under herbs, you're seeing thyme, rosemary, oregano, mint, cilantro, and basil. And under vegetables, you're seeing your bell peppers, cherry tomatoes, and tomatoes. Now I'm going to show you a couple of different ways to add categories to your post. Let's go to all posts. And, again, I apologize because of my resolution that my post screen is so weird. But I'm scrolling down to I see my About My Garden post. And I'm going to go in to edit. So once your categories are built and you're creating a post, on that right panel, if you scroll down on that right panel, you will see categories, and you can expand it and you'll see all of your categories. So by default, every post is being given uncategorized, right? So this one, I'm going to uncheck uncategorize. It's About My Garden. And I'm going to select fruit, herbs, and scroll down and select vegetables. And you have the opportunity to select a primary category. I would make it, I'll do vegetables as my primary one. And then I'm going to go ahead and update. And those categories are now assigned to that post. I'm going to go back to view post, and my what grows in my garden post. I'm going to show you another way of doing this one. And that way is the quick edit feature. So if I don't do my categories when I create my post, normally I create my categories before I start creating posts, and then I assign them while I'm creating the post. But if I forget to do that, I typically go into quick edit instead of edit. And the quick edit screen looks a little bit different, but you can see that the categories are there as well. So what grows in my garden for this one, I'm going to select fruit, herbs, uncheck uncategorized, and select vegetables. I'm not going to be specific here. And so I've done a quick edit on that post, and I'm going to use the update button to update it. And you can see on the post screen, it shows any categories, and if you were using tags, it would show them that have been assigned to the post. So in Module 3, we focused on creating some blog content. We went over the WordPress admin conventions, which means that many of the screens are very similar in their look and functionality, like pages, posts, comments. We started building our site by creating our About Me page, and then we started creating blog pages, and we started posting on our blog. We did a couple of posts, one of which we used headings in it to differentiate different topics. Went on to talking about commenting on your blog. We made sure that the blog page itself has comments disabled, but each post defaults to enabling comments, and we want the comments just to be allowed on our post. So you saw me post a comment from one of my other users on a post, and you saw my admin user approve that comment so that it shows on the site. And then we moved on to learning the difference between categories and tags, and then we started adding categories, and I showed you 2 different ways of applying categories to your posts. So I'd like to thank everyone for viewing this WordPress course. Again, my name is Trish Connor Cato, and it's been my pleasure to present this video to you. So in this course, we started by getting an introduction to WordPress. You learned about common terms, a variety of reasons why people choose WordPress to build their sites. You learned about the WordPress family and WordPress features. And then in that first module, we also moved into getting online WordPress resources, staying updated with WordPress news, and understanding the Codex, the official online manual for WordPress, as well as how to access it. You also learned how to get support from other users via the forums, and you got a little bit about the directory structure of where your things are stored at the level of your hosting provider in that WP-content directory. In the second module, we got started with WordPress. You learned the difference between WordPress.org and WordPress.com. We went through the steps of installing WordPress via a hosting provider. And just a reminder, the PowerPoint presentation with all the information is part of your files in the video description as well. So we went through all of those steps. You then learned how to get a Gravatar from gravatar.com, which follows you around the web. In the third module, we started creating blog content. We added a theme. We went over some admin conventions, like the similarities between a lot of the screens in WordPress, like they're structured in the same way for ease of use, like pages screen, post screen. We created a page and added some content to it. And we also created a page that we were going to use as our blog page. And we created a few posts. We made sure that comments stayed enabled on our blog post. And then we went into adding and managing categories so that we could add categories to our post.